Hi everyone, welcome to my reviews. Today I'm talking about The Army of the Dead. It's a new Zack Snyder going back to his roots movie. So Zack Snyder obviously famously directed the incredible Dawn of the Dead. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A great movie. Actually, that's his first movie as well, and came out at the same time as 28 Days Later. There's a lot of comparisons between that and that. Those two movies with the running zombies. There's a lot of elements in that movie that were really good. It felt scary. Talk about it in a second, but when we compare it to Army of the Dead, and then he's went off to do all these comic booky movies and kind of over the top, um, big blockbuster movies he's had since, and now he's come back to his roots with another zombie flick, Army of the Dead, with a production budget of nearly like 100 million. So one of the most expensive horror zombie related movies of all time. Straight to Netflix. They're trying to build a Netflix franchise of the dead in this. So, there'll be spin-offs, prequels, animated series, and a potential sequel. We'll talk about that when we get into the review itself. Try and keep the first half of it all spoiler free and then talk about spoilers and that twist ending as it referred to shall read everywhere. First and foremost, an incredible ensemble cast. It consists of Dave Bautista, Omari Hardwick, and a huge array of other people. Amazing. And Tig Notaro, I think, is the one that people talk about the most. We'll talk about her in a bit as well. Um, and again, the movie itself is basically a zombie heist movie. Now, when I heard Army of the Dead and I heard the word zombie heist, I didn't watch any trailers. I knew Zack Snyder's back. I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. Genuinely thought, why do you need to steal money if there's a zombie outbreak? Because in my head, I'm thinking this is the world that he built in Dawn of the Dead. We're returning back to that. But the actual movie premise is different. It's quite an interesting premise. There are a few bits in the movie which maybe should have been explored a bit longer, more. In a 2.5 hour runtime movie, it didn't feel like all of those bits were kind of developed. But then, there is the prequel, sequels, animated series, the potential spin-offs, whatever, they're trying to build. So there might be other things coming out. But for a movie itself, there was a lot of unanswered questions. A lot of people said because Zack Snyder's story, his screenplay, he's his own cinematographer. All those things aside, it is it's a zombie heist movie. Now, the two bits you look at it and you think, are the zombies good? Yeah, he's changed it up a bit. Again, we'll talk about more in spoilers. He's changed it up a bit. Um, and the zombies are good. There is a new change to them. There's kind of a different kind of feel about them. There's a couple of special zombies, should we say? We'll leave that for spoiler bit. Is the heist any good? A heist movie. One of my favorite heist movies is Fast Five. I love a good heist movie. And like the Ocean's movie, like if there's the heist itself, and then there's the twist heist, and then there's the actual how it happened and stuff. Is that element good? Now, he's maybe not the best at writing heist movies. No disrespect to Zach. It's a good heist. It's not the best heist. It's not the greatest heist. It's a good heist. For a cast, a huge star cast in terms of ensemble cast, there's a lot of people. Biggest criticism was I felt some of the characters didn't get developed enough, and there's also big kind of like big stars in the movie who didn't even really have much of a role to do, and they were just there and they did the expedition. They just talked about this what they needed to do and move the story on, but felt they were a little bit wasted, especially considering it's 2.5 hour runtime. Um, it's got one of the best Zack Snyder opening credit sequences ever. If there was ever any doubt, this guy knows how to shoot stuff. He knows how to put things on camera. He knows how to do action set pieces. The styling is bonkers and crazy. It's amazing. The credit sequence. There's a zombie outbreak. We'll get into that in spoilers because I don't know if it's spoiler territory or not. Overall, it's on Netflix. It's on your streaming service if you pay for it. It's on 4K. Some people were able to watch it in the cinema. People complained about the cinematography and not having the depth and some dead pixels. All that aside, it's a fun romp. Um, pre spoiler, I would give it a. It almost sits between our usual rating of, VOD. Oh, it's not cinema. It's not that good, is it? VOD. Would I pay for it or would I go streaming service? And it's in between there, and we never sit on the fence. So it has to be. This has to be a streaming service movie. Unfortunately, it's potential to get to the next. It just felt like I felt a little bit kind of let down. And now let's just talk spoilers. Spoiler alert for those listening. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Okay, so the movie starts off. They're leaving Area 51, and these two UFO-looking jets fly across our screen. So the first instance is this cargo that these guys are carrying. Could it be alien related? Could this be a genetically modified zombie? All those questions unanswered, but that's actually a cool little thing. Like, it's a new kind of thing. Like, potentially leaving Area 51. What could it be? What are they carrying? The cargo explodes, and outcomes are Alpha, Patient Zero, Zeus, as they refer to him, Zombie. He's quicker, he's faster, he's stronger than the usual. But there's this elite team of army soldiers who are taking that cargo from one place to the other, and yet none of them could shoot him. None of them could shoot him in the head. This is what I mean. This is where I felt the kind of the movie's a bit weird, and they, for whatever reason, some things just didn't quite work out for me. But if he was super quick and he could dodge bullets or something, maybe. Anyway, so all that happens. He then heads into Vegas, and you're like, wicked. This is a good idea. Going to a secluded desert, heading to Vegas, and zombie outbreak in Vegas. And it turns out the outbreak is restricted to Vegas, and what the American government and the people do is they build a wall around Vegas, and so the zombies are left in Vegas. Again, it's quite an interesting idea. Then Dave Bautista, there's a montage. The actual opening credit sequence is pretty cool. Lots of things going on. Absolutely walls to the ball, crazy. Dave Bautista's character, the main one, him a bit later on they show you him and his wife, him having to kill her because she was turning, and having his daughter kind of witness that almost, and they can't. The relationship between the father and daughter kind of broke because of really not because of that. She says towards the end of the movie it's because more of neglect. The father wasn't around after that point, but that whole storyline is good. Like, Dave Bautista is incredible in this. He plays that role, and the emotional payoff right at the very end is great. Um, and even the ensemble cast around him are all good, but you just don't see enough of them. You don't see, well, the Safecracker and Omari Hardwick's characters. They have a lot of fun, banter. There's not enough kind of. They're very much. A lot of these characters felt 2D. They didn't give them enough to do. The Coyote, even the kind of like the straight man who comes in to join the crew, who's there for his ulterior motives, those kind of things. So nothing there that will surprise you. It is pretty much a standard kind of horror flick. Then the zombie outbreak, that's quite cool. They kind of close them off. Then there's a bit further into the movie, he puts his heist team together. And what I quite liked is they talk about the money, and I almost felt like that's the budget of the movie and what the stars are getting paid. And there's a moment where he's saying, okay, so we will share the money, Dave Bautista and some of the other characters. And then they were just, as they brought in the next person, the cost, the amount of money they were going to make on this heist kept going down, which I thought was quite a cool little thing. He would just say, you're going to get 200 grand, one day's work, 50 grand, whatever it was, 2 mil. All I need you to do, and that's Tig Notaro's character. She's really funny, great in this movie, and she's not even in the movie. We'll talk about it a bit later. But so all that, he assembles his crew. They then go inside, and there's a moment where there's a bit of foreshadowing. It felt like the character talks about the dead zombies, and if it rains, they come to life, and you're like, this could have an incredible playoff. Plus, with Zack's kind of action style, this, we'd have a horde of zombies coming to life at some point towards the end. That's your big action set piece craziness at the end of the movie. Maybe a horde of zombies coming up from the dead. Um, but none of that happened. It just stayed dry for some reason. Never rained, which was a bit disappointing. It was an interesting idea, and I just felt they even laid the foundation for what would have been an incredible payoff, but never happened. Then we get introduced to the alpha zombies. I quite like that idea that, there's Zeus, there's a female alpha as well, and there's lots of alphas. I just don't understand what the zombies eat, because there's so many of them still left in Vegas, and people don't go in there. So are they just dying out? And what do they eat? Do they stay hungry? What's going on? Those things didn't get answered. They go in. The reason why they're in there is because there's a guy who owns a casino, and he said, look, there's 200 million in here. If you guys go there, heist the 200 million, I'll give you 50 million cut, and you keep that and bring the rest of the money back. The weird thing is, for someone who owns a casino, he doesn't seem to have the keys or the vault combination or any of those details that he could just give to them. He gives them a blueprint, and he says, go heist this thing. And it's a bit weird. Anyway, the guy who plays that role, again, it's just so underutilized. Like, he's such a good actor, such a big name actor as well. And he's done so many incredible things, and he's just wasted in this tiniest of roles. And you're just like, why is he in the movie? Because anyone could have just told him that, and they would have just moved on with the rest of the movie. It's just, even the straight guy could have told him that. And anyway, so they do that. They get in. They go to do the heist. The heist itself isn't as good as some of the other movie heists, where you see the heist, something happens, and it's a bit fun because there's a twist on a twist towards the end, and they, how they take the money out. It's just a pretty straightforward heist. They go in, they break the safe open, they get the stuff out. But what was quite cool is um, it's when they were Omari Hardwick's character. He's bringing zombies in so they can um, de um, deactivate some of the um, traps that are set there. That was quite fun. That was actually a cool little thing. Those two, him and the safecracker, really have great chemistry together. Really fun. I could watch a movie with those two. That's when they all kind of buddy off and do their own thing, and they go kind of wander off and do other things. Um, and that's kind of where Tig Notaro's character kind of goes off and does the piloting. And on my first watching, I did kind of think a little bit, why is he the only one who didn't like hug or high five or anyone? But I didn't think much of it. And it turns out that she was CGI'd into the movie, so they had someone else in the movie, Chris Delay. He got kicked off. He didn't get kicked off. He was in the movie. He had maybe a big part in the movie. And what they did incredibly well, Zack Snyder and the guys, they shot her against green screen. She had one interaction with one character in the whole movie, and they seamlessly popped her into this movie, which is an incredible feat, and got rid of this other person who's just so many allegations and stuff came up against him. So he's a terrible person, and I'm glad that someone paid the money and they did that, and they just erased him from the movie completely. And they did that with Kevin Spacey. So credit to the filmmakers for going through that painstaking process of shooting the whole things with someone else and then green screening them into the movie. So credit where credit's due. That was incredible. Absolutely amazing how they did that, and it's so seamless. It just seems a bit weird that she goes off on her own. She's doing her own piloting stuff, so she's never really in the shots with the other team. But she's incredible. If they had her in this movie from the start, it would have been amazing as well. She's really, really funny. She's a great stand-up comedian. Very, very funny in the movie. Back to the movie, they do the heist, but it turns out that one of the guys there has an ulterior motive, as always, and they're not interested in the money. They just came along to steal the blood of the vampire, of the zombie, but either Zeus or the other alpha. And he says this is worth more than what's in the safe. So basically, governments have already kind of thought about, hey, this Zeus, if we can get the blood of Zeus, we can now re-engineer and build our own army of the dead, which is, it's an interesting idea, but they had the cargo moving from Area 51 to this other area, so they already had him. Bit weird how they didn't just reuse, just take some of the blood then, just like pop it in your pocket or whatever. Anyway, so they they did that. It's an incredible bit where he decapitates her, and he takes the head, and that's what his whole thing was. And again, you have that in heist movies, and that could have been the whole thing. You didn't need someone else to explain about the money and stuff. Money was the thing, but this would be the twist on that. Anyway, he gets mauled by a tiger, which was another cool little thing that they had in there. They had a zombie tiger, and they explain that in the movie how he's a zombie tiger. He gets very little screen presence, screen time as well. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the tiger, but he has a great moment where he attacks the bad person and kind of decapitates his head as well. Incredible stuff. So overall, Zack Snyder knows what he's doing. He in Dawn of the Dead, Michael Pfeiffer's character and his girlfriend who got bitten, she gives birth to a baby zombie, and they kill the baby zombie off screen. And in this movie, again, he's got this obsession with baby zombies. The alpha Zeus and his main female together, she was pregnant, and she had a baby inside of her, which is this blue little zombie baby. And again, it died obviously because her head got decapitated, but he's got this obsession with zombie babies. Um, Overall, I think Dawn of the Dead had some scarier moments. There's this moment towards the start of the movie where the girl is in their house and she runs at them, but the jump and the flip and it's more kind of like claustrophobic, and you got no weapons, you got nothing to defend yourself with, but just household stuff. That feels scary. Here, you've got unlimited ammo, you've got these trained guys, so it doesn't feel. Maybe he never went for that kind of element. He was just going for a fun, over the top, gun heavy zombie heist movie, and he achieved that. But I guess maybe not what I wanted from a zombie movie as well. But it's still a blast. It's just could have been better. Zack, as he knows how to shoot, maybe he needs help with a bit of cinematography and a bit of the story, and definitely needed to cut that runtime down. He's got a lot of long shots again, a bit like in um, Zack Snyder's Justice League, but Justice League kind of paid off. This one won't in the same manner. Um, and then the twist ending. Let's talk about the twist ending, the so-called twist ending. So at the end of the movie, a big action sequence happens. They shoot all the other zombies. Dave Bautista and his daughter and Geeta and the pilot all make it to the plane. Zeus runs across, jumps on the plane. Anyway, fights Dave Bautista as the explosions happen, and they land the plane. And it don't know where Tig Notaro went in the end, or Geeta, but you only see the moment between Dave Bautista and his daughter as he turns into a zombie and she shoots him. And they had this incredible moment, actually, really good moment where Dave Bautista really kind of like, you could see it, how well and how much she meant to him and how apologetic he is towards her and stuff. So that was all great. And so you think the movie's ended there and that's kind of your end, but it turns out that Omari Hardwick's character was bitten, and I saw that, but maybe I didn't. Um, and the safe cracker pushes him into the safe, and as the nukes fall in and the nuclear explosion happens, it kills everyone there, all the zombies and everyone who's maybe still alive. And Omari Hardwick's character, who's been bitten, comes out of the ground in nuclear waste, seems to be unaffected by any nuclear poison or kind of debris, anything, and walks from there all the way to steal a car, steals a car and drives all the way to get onto an aeroplane, gets an aeroplane, gets onto the flight, and he's about maybe an hour or maybe half an hour into the flight. Then he starts to feel the implications of the bite. Now, even even then, it must have been a couple of days. It seems weird how it's been quite a few days before the actual bite seems to affect him, while other people's bites are a lot quicker. Like the soldiers early on, they got turned quite quick. Dave Bautista maybe took a bit longer, but generally most people get turned quite quickly. His thing took ages, and then they're heading towards Mexico City. So it seems like the sequel is Mexico City. There's no real twist. It's just a guy who got bitten at the end of the movie came out. I didn't see a twist anywhere. It's not a twist ending. For people who watch a lot of horror movies, they know that's a generic ending to a horror movie. They either the goodies win or the goodies win and something else happens and the baddie's still around. We've seen this in so many movies, but the end of Dawn of the Dead, for example, when the boat lands and they're still doing the videoing and they think they've landed to this place where there's no zombies, but zombies come rushing in. You can call that twist ending. There was no twist ending, but it's just a setup for a sequel. That's kind of what that is. That's their sequel bait in Mexico City. So it'd be quite interesting to see where that goes and also how they play that out, because what will they do? Do they build that wall finally and get it around Mexico City? We don't know. It'd be quite interesting. I did enjoy it. I won't mind seeing more in this. Personally, I felt it's a little bit too long, 2.5 hours. A lot of the characters, I felt like they should have, because there's a huge ensemble cast of zombie killers who go in there. They needed more time, character development, but smaller, stronger, smaller, close-knit team may have worked. And also, they don't all get picked off. They kind of die very slowly, and they all die towards the end of the movie. So you don't even have zombies picking them off one by one. And there's this other element of the movie which may get explored later, is the main zombie Zeus has blue blood. So that could be kind of more alien type. It has red but blue as well, so it could be kind of an alien blood. And also his baby was blue. So there's a extraterrestrial element to this, and there was some robot zombies, which is another cool idea. Like I said, there's a lot of cool ideas in here that didn't get executed, and I'd love to see where this goes next. So I am definitely on board for the prequel, Army of Thieves, the animated series, Army of the Dead, Las Vegas, definitely up for that. And I'd like to see where Omari Hardwick takes this to the next step, and who, unfortunately, with Dave gone now, who do you bring as your linchpin to your franchise? Would have loved to see Dave still around, Dave Bautista, and take us into the next movie or however. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. It's a good movie. Overall, I put it back down to streaming service, unfortunately. But in my head, this was hyped up as in my head, this was the sequel to Dawn of the Dead. This is going to be the horror genre zombie flick that I always wanted. And there's a heist element to it, but the heist is pretty straightforward. Um, and the zombies were good, not great. I would have loved to have seen that horde come to life. There's a lot of cool bits that he laid out, which unfortunately we never got, which is a bit disappointing. But the green screening replacement thing was incredible, and hats off to everyone involved in doing that. Still a fun ride, worth a watch. 2.5 hours. Tell me what you think. Hit us up this will be on our podcast. Hit us up with your reviews. Tell us what you think. Hit like, subscribe, tell a friend. Any way that can kind of grow the platform. It all helps. So thank you for listening. Tell us what you think of Army of the Dead.